Hello.
This is your number one internet radio station.
TC Talk, 7:30 Thursday night. 2 weeks off. It's going to be Tom Fitzsimons Talks fortnightly. Hey? Do you know, I have a lot to say in a fortnight, Rich.
Yeah, well, let's see in a week.
How you doing?
Us. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah. Judging by the time the holiday was good, so
Yeah.
we've just been having a talk before we came on air that everyone seems to be going on holiday, and we've decided we're off to Newcastle next week. Actually, Northumberland, but there you go. But so never mind your fancy holidays in New York. And Martin Kilgallen's off to New York this morning. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
so he's flying off to New York. I'm off to Newcastle.
There's just no justice, is there?
Oh, I don't mind. I've been to New York. I'd rather go to Newcastle.
Yeah.
No, there you go. So holiday again next week for me. So it's I thought I'd get this one done this week because next week I'm celebrating 12 years sober. August 27th is my sobriety date, and it's 12 years on Tuesday. So obviously, I've been being away. I thought this week we'd discuss a few things about recovery. And just have a general chat about the early days because it's been that long since I've done it. I sometimes forget how difficult those early days are, and that's something that I'm a little bit ashamed about at times.
Yeah.
Because I just have forgotten the difficult parts of recovery. And you get caught up in everything you've done since, all the good things you've done, but you forget the hard times before. You know what led up to it. And there's a lot of it I've tried to blank out and thought, I don't really talk about that anymore. So I just thought I'd bring that up tonight and talk about the highs and the lows of recovery, and hopefully somebody out there who's listening, who knows, maybe August 27th can be your sobriety date if you need it. And we'll go from there. New album last week. Well, it wasn't last week because we were off last week, but I bought Dire Straits album, and it's just unbelievable. It was just.
Which one, Brother in Arms?
Yeah, Brother in Arms.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. We did it the old school way, where Zoe and I went upstairs with a speaker. This is what happens when you get old kids. Went upstairs and we lay on the bed and we put the album on, and we just listened to it from start to finish. And Dire Straits passed me by. I had no interest in Dire Straits at all, but. This is totally self-indulgent, the Dire Straits album. You know, there's 8-minute long songs and just guitar solos and everything you wanted from an album. And I think that's what the 80s was like. It was if you could get away with it and you were good enough as a musician and you had the guts to do it, then do it. And they did. So we're going to start with a bit of Dire Straits tonight and Money for Nothing.
Just before we kick it off, Andy Deaton says hi from Croatia. He's another one. He's in Croatia.
Another one's in Croatia. Everyone's in Croatia. I just like to thank you all for appreciating Croatia, especially after the beat in the World Cup semi-final last year. Go on, Croatia.
On that bombshell, here's a bit of Dire Straits. We're right back with TC Talks live on Smile Radio.
the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. To the little faggot with the earring and the makeup. Yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. The little faggot got his own jet airplane. The little faggot, he's a millionaire. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on. What's that? Hawaiian noises. He's banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing. Get your chicks for free. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Listen here, now, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Ooh, and money for nothing. Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. All that money for nothing. Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free.
It's a tune, is that, Tom?
It's all right. Yeah, it's just worth it just for the start of it, isn't it?
Down.
Yeah, I know we've cut it a little bit short, but guys, I like the Astros, but we don't like them that much. If Richard had some coffee in tonight, I might let him play.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking tea tonight because he's run out of coffee.
You don't believe it. I've had to bring M&Ms in and to take all the red ones out and just put green ones in.
I nearly flounced off this evening.
I can't work under these conditions.
I was like that. I'd have gone years ago. Right, so let's take it back then. So, as many people know, if you've listened to this show before, I've been open and candid about my addiction in the past, and it's coming up to 12 years on Tuesday since I made the decision to have my final drink. Now, a lot's happened since then. I've had a career change. I've done all sorts of different work. I've run marathons. I've run across the continent. I've run in the Sahara Desert. I've done all sorts of different things. I've cycled. I've done lots. But the danger that you have when it's in recovery, you go so long and you almost forget where you came from. You forget the bad bits. And there's nothing wrong with forgetting the bad bits. I think it's important to sometimes move on from the bad bits and you know, rightly so that they should be left behind. But the problem arises when people ring you and ask you for support. And I've noticed this recently. When a guy, I help a couple of guys still just ring me on the off chance that, look, can you help me? And I've forgotten how difficult, and I find myself getting frustrated when they relapse. And I keep thinking to myself, well, Tom, you need to get this sorted out in your head. Why are you getting annoyed when they relapse? It's part and parcel of recovery. So I think it's important to go way back to when the drinking really became problematic. It's been problematic since 13. I'm you know, being delusional there to think it wasn't problematic. You know, on the first night out in Wakefield, I ended up in a fight. The alarm bells were there. By 19, I had my first drink driving conviction. You know, it caused £20,000 worth of damage to a shop. It was just, you know, I was in fights, in toxic relationships. I was a horrible character to be around. But move it on even further, and we get up to. I'm going to go 3 or 4 years before I stopped drinking. So around about 2004. 2004 was the year Orla was born, and I was working out a couple of contracts at the time. One was in Wrexham, and Wrexham was just one of these contracts that my drinking went to another level. We were working on a large electrical installation, 132 kV cables, big project, probably the highlight of my career as a project. But we were working with lads that were straight out of the 1970s. They were proper work hard, play harder. Group of lads from down in Clacton-on-Sea. So John O'Connor was his name. Great guy. John O'Connor was just everything a site manager hated in a gang of them. He was wild. This guy was just wild.
Bit of grafter.
But they could get the ground out. They were ripping the roads of Wrexham up and causing chaos. And we if anyone has ever been to Wrexham Industrial Estate, they might remember the time of 2004 when McAlpines came and ripped their industrial estate up. We ripped out the fibre optics by mistake. We burst the water main to the Kellogg's cornflakes factory. We did all sorts of stuff. But partly because we were in the pub all the time. The Redwither pub. I remember the Redwither pub. And we were in the pub almost as soon as 5 o'clock came, 4:30, shut the site cabin, straight in the boozer. And at first it was every Friday we'd do that. And then it became the Monday club. And it was the Wednesday. And before we knew it, it was every night of the week. And we were in, you know, rampaging around Wrexham and drinking. The bad part about this, and this is quite poignant tonight when I'm talking about this, because stick with me on this story, because there's another part to this. There's a thing on the news tonight about drink driving, the 4 lads who were killed from Horsforth and drink driving. And it's just horrific to hear that 4 young lads who have made a mistake. Yeah, they've got drunk, they shouldn't have got in the car, they get that, and it's abhorrent what they do, and you shouldn't get in a car when you're drunk. But I've been there, and I did it for years. And I'm not excusing that type of behaviour, but it was horrendous. But this is really where I knew that my drinking was getting out of control. Even if I'd had 12 pints in Wrexham, there was no chance of me staying over. I had to come home. So, you know, you'd have 12 pints in Wrexham and be driving back from Wrexham to Leeds. And that's when you start to think, when you wake up the next morning and think, this is getting seriously out of control. So decided I was going to try and get some help and try and get myself sorted. I went for some help at Turning Point. Turning Point is still around. At the time, I thought that was going to be a simple case of turning up at Turning Point and them turning around to me and saying, yeah, everything's going to be fine. Wasn't the case. really wasn't the case. Turned around and said, "Oh, we'll see you in 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever it was going to be," and I was absolutely heartbroken. So there's all these things that were starting to pile up on top of me. I took another job after the Wrexham contract and lost the job. It was with Core Utilities. Was there for 3 months, and I divulged some information about me having a drink problem. And I was expecting the guy that employed me had already told me his father was an alcoholic, and I was expecting a kind of
Empathy, maybe.
a bit of empathy, and put your arm around me and coach me through it. And they fired me. They paid me to be contract up. They looked after me. Don't get me wrong. They gave me some cash, but they got rid of me. And that was probably the lowest point in my career, where I thought, right, well, I'm starting to lose jobs now because of this drinking thing. Little did I know that it wasn't just the drinking; it was the depression as well. A little bit of bipolar thrown in. So there was all those things going on, but the drink was masking everything. So I'm out of a job, don't know where to go. And then a guy from McAlpine rings me and says, "Hey, you've lost your contract." I says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm starting to work in Northern Ireland. Do you fancy going over there?" "Yeah, Northern Ireland sounds all right. Yeah, go back home." Well, can you imagine? That's the worst place in the world to send an alcoholic, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're going to send you to...
There's a bit of a culture there.
Yeah, we're going to send you to Northern Ireland, Tom. I don't know what Zoe was thinking at the time. She must have thought, this is a disaster. But the money was good. It was me out of her way for 5 days a week. Fly out on a Monday, fly back on a Friday. It was a perfect contract for me. I'd go and run a contract in Northern Ireland and be in the pub all night on my own in Derry or in Belfast and just get drunk. That was great for me. And then come home at the weekend. But then coming home at the weekend started to become a problem. Because by Friday night, I was getting earlier and earlier checking in at the airport. And I was, my flight wouldn't be till 7 o'clock, and I was checking in at 2:30. So I could go to the hotel or the airport bar. I was getting absolutely blind drunk by the time I got on the plane. And a couple of occasions, they were thinking about not letting me on the plane. Now, we'd had Orla by this stage, so we had a new baby, September. And I still didn't calm down. Things were still getting to a point where, do you know what, this is still going over the top all the time. And then something happened. Now, I was in Wrexham. I was drinking with a guy called Stuart English, Martin Barber, and I would class them as close friends back then. And they were great. Stuart was the same age as me, but he was a company director. Going places, wanted me to go work for him. And he rang me the week before and he says, "Look, Tom," he says, "I want to come over to Ireland. We're going to go on the drink." So that'd be great, Stuart. Are you bringing Martin with you? "Yeah, I'll bring Martin with us. We'll all have a good drink." So I got a phone call then on the Monday morning from a friend in Blackburn who said, "Are you sitting down, Tom?" He says, "Stuart and Martin are dead." And I was floored by that. Absolutely floored. And I couldn't get my head around it. "What do you mean they're dead?" There's been a car accident and they're both dead. Now, Stuart was as bad as me for drink driving. He would drink drive on a regular basis. And they've been to Man United, watching the football, the corporate do, going back to the village, smashed the car, and 3 of them dead in the car. So, getting that news, you'd have thought that would have been me going, right, that's it, I'm going to quit. But it sent me into a complete tailspin of just, I don't know what to do. I've lost Stuart, lost Martin, I began to lose myself. I almost thought to myself, and when I look back, I almost thought that, well, it's going to happen to me soon enough, so I might as well just enjoy it. And that's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
That's the way your mind starts to think, is that... Cause
almost justifying it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd always said that my father died at 39 years of age. I had no plan for anything beyond 39. So as far as I was concerned, if I got to 39, I was okay.
Yeah.
Now, at this stage, I'm 2004, I'm 30 years of age. 30 years of age. I'm thinking to myself, well, I've not got long left. I might as well just crack on. Because if Stuart and Martin are dead, and I'm worse than them. It's only a matter of time before it happens to me. And I just, careered on into, and Orla was getting older, and I'm looking at Orla, I'm thinking to myself, it was different with the two boys. I've said this before, having two older boys, your dad goes out and has a drink, and having a daughter was different. I'm thinking to myself, well, do I really want to be drunk around Orla? Do I really want to be in that situation? But it still didn't stop me. I'm still full tilt at it all the time. Fast forward 2006, Zoe pregnant again with, and this time with Oliver. I'm going into a complete spiral again. It's getting relentless now. I'm back in England working, but I'm drinking. I'm going out drinking. I'm 3, 4, 5 days straight, going to work, trying to hold the job down, and literally just existing. Stop showering. Stop. Just going from work to the pub, falling in the door, crashing on the sofa, getting up for work at 5 o'clock in the morning, driving to work, trying to hold down a job, getting drunk, doing the same again. And by 2006, I think it was getting, I'd had enough. When your body just says, I don't know if you've ever done any training where you've just gone, do you know what?
Yeah.
That's enough now.
Yeah.
Or got to a stage with something where you've gone, I don't want to do this anymore. Some people do it with jobs. And I got to a stage where I thought, do you know what? I needed to stop this. And I'd been to Glasgow for a Glasgow Celtic and Rangers match. It was a corporate do. And I got myself in a right state. We were drinking from 12 o'clock in the afternoon in a corporate do all the way through. They threw us out at Celtic Park at 8:30, 8:45. Now, the match had finished at 2:30.
Yeah.
And we were still in the bar in Celtic Park, in the Glasgow city centre. Absolutely messing myself, complete mess. Got in the wrong bar, got a knife put to my throat and was threatening to be killed. Scared me. Came home, thought, right, need to sort this out. Came back down from Glasgow, went on the drink again for St Patrick's Day. It was around about that time, it turned into St Patrick's Week. And by the time I got home after that St Patrick's Week session, I could tell that Zoe had changed. And when I look back, my behaviour then was absolutely outrageous. That every penny we had went in the pub. She had to beg for money for food. She had to beg for money for for clothes for the kids. We didn't go on holidays. We didn't have anything nice in the house. It was literally just drink, drink, drink. And as much drink as I could down my neck. I had no interest in the two older boys. I just wanted to drink. So when I look back on it, I'd forgotten how much of it was almost an animal. Because you're existing, you're not living, you're just existing. And I knew that Zoe had changed. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I need to try somehow to get myself in a position where I can give myself a bit of a break, give myself some breathing space where I can allow Zoe to think that I'm going to get this together, that I'll con her almost and say, oh, I'm going to get sober. We've all heard that from a drunk, haven't we? And this is going to be different this time. I'm going to sober up. And I saw an advert in a men's fitness magazine for a duathlon in September. So it was a 5k run, 10k bike, 5k run. And I said, I'm going to sign up for that. And she just laughed. She went, not a chance. Not a chance. And I signed up for it. And I thought, this will give me a 6-month breathing space. Because this is March. By September, she'll have forgotten all about this race. And there's no chance of me ever doing it. I'll never get it. I was 19, nearly 20 stone at the time. There's no chance of me ever getting that together. It's not going to happen. And I started running. I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. And that was the start of something happening within me that I thought, do you know what, maybe I can do something. But it didn't last long. I'm going to break for a song because I'm talking too much already. We're going to break for the second song, and I'll pick up where I've left off. I bought this. I decided on this one today. A bit of a joke song, but it's the Charlie Daniels Band, and the devil went down to Georgia. The reason I've chosen this, he talks about the devil coming for your soul, and I think if you've been a drunk or you've been addicted to anything, the devil grabs it every opportunity.
So don't forget, get in touch. We're on Facebook Live, Smile Radio Yorkshire, Instagram and Twitter, Smile Radio 3, or drop me an email, richard@smileradio.co. Any questions, any thoughts, any messages you want to put out, about tonight's subject, get in touch. We're right back after a little bit. The devil went to Georgia.
Down to Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you'd care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul because I think I'm better than you." The boy said, "My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet and you're gonna regret, because I'm the best as ever been. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. And if you win, you get this shiny fiddle made of gold, but if you lose, the devil gets your soul." Opened up his case and he said, "I'll start this show," and fire flew from his fingertips as he rosined up his bow. And he pulled the bow across the strings and it made an evil hiss. And then a band of demons joined in and it sounded something like this. When the devil finished, Johnny said, "Well, you're pretty good, old son, but sit down in that chair right there and let me show you how it's done. Fire on the mountain, run, boys, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Granny, does your dog bite? No child knows." The devil bowed his head because he knew that he'd been beat, and he laid that golden fiddle on the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, "Devil, just come on back if you ever want to try again. I done told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best as ever been." He played "Fire on the Mountain, Run, Boys, Run." Devil's in the house of the rising sun. The chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Granny, where your dog bite, no child knows.
College Grove Nursery in Wakefield has been providing the highest standard of childcare for over 22 years. Situated on Eastmore Road, we are close to the M1 and M62 motorway network and also convenient for Wakefield city centre, schools and major places of employment. For more details, check out our website at www.collegegrovenursery.co.uk or give us a call on 01924 200 120 to arrange a visit. College Grove, a special nursery which takes a hand, opens a mind and touches a heart.
Okay, so the Charlie Daniels Band, what do you think of that one?
I like that.
It's a good bit of little banter, isn't it, you know?
That takes me back to living in Harold's, my dad's pub.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just certain songs, like You know, because they used to do like a country and western night, and they all used to do the draw. They used to do the drawing, the guns, and all that, and then all this music was going. Yeah, so yeah. Funny,
Guys,
innit?
if you've never been to Wakey, don't bother. Right, so let's take it back to 2006. Now, bear in mind, I don't sober up until August 2007. So there's a big gap here between, and again, this is something that I try to get through to anyone who I speak to about recovery. From the moment you make that decision to try and stop, to when you actually physically can stop, can be anything from 3 months to 10 years. You know what I mean? Your mind might be saying, "I want to stop," but everything else is telling you, "No, you're not ready to stop yet." So it's one of those things that it's important to remember that. Yes, I've got 12 years in recovery, but I had a good 18 months of getting it wrong as well. And sometimes I think I forget to tell people that I messed up greatly in the early days of running. So just nearly 19 stone, 19.5 stone, going out for my first run, half a mile, half an hour, absolutely rubbish. But kept chipping away at it because I knew that running was making me feel something different, something I hadn't felt before. And I tell the kids when I talk to them in school, it's a thing called happiness. I hadn't felt happy for years, and that thing called happiness is something that, if you're an addict, it doesn't matter who surrounds you and how much love you're showered with. If you don't feel happy inside, it doesn't matter what's around you. Running gave me happiness. It brought happiness back into my soul, and my soul had been dead for years. And it was something that made me feel alive. So that the half mile quickly turned into a mile, and then 2 miles, and within 6 weeks I'd entered the Appley Bridge Canter, which is a 10k up at Appley Bridge in Bradford. And so I'm 6 weeks sober, and I'm thinking to myself, this is great. I'm going to do my first race. I turned up far too early for the race. I always turn up early, and signed up for this race, and there's about 3 people there. I'm thinking, there's not going to be many runners here. And slowly but surely, all these people came out. And now, bear in mind, I've been in a pub since I was 13. I didn't know these things existed. I didn't know people came out on a Thursday night to go for a run, a 10k run. Who would do that? What sort of idiot does that? Never trust a man that doesn't drink. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I'm thinking to myself, all these people are coming out of the woodwork, and they're flying from all over the place. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, it must be like 200 or 300 here. And sure enough, the race started, off we went, and I realised very quickly that I was absolutely rubbish. But I kept chipping away at it. I thought, right, just keep digging in. And I did my first 10k in an hour and 17. Got to the finish line, and I was handed my bottle of Woodhouse Wallop beer. Woodhouse Wallop beer. And I'm thinking, these runners are great, guys. You go for a 10k run, then you have a bottle of beer afterwards. So I asked the lassie for a bottle opener, and she went, it's a commemorative bottle. You're not supposed to drink it. I went, and again I thought, what's the point of that? What's the point of having a bottle of beer and not drinking it? Now, I've still got that bottle of Woodhouse Wallop.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, I'll share it tonight on Facebook. I've still got that bottle of Woodhouse Wallop in my cupboard, unopened. I wouldn't like to be drinking it now because that was 2006. I was 13 years old. I don't know how long beer lasts, but I don't think it lasts that long. It's not like whiskey, is it? So, and it did me 10k, and again, I felt great, and I came home, was absolutely buzzing from it, and it gave me plenty of momentum. I thought, right, okay, I can do this. I entered a 100-mile bike ride a few months later. I went and did that, and then started doing different things. Newark half marathon was my first half marathon. But slowly, as I was going through this process of change, I was losing loads of weight. I was feeling good about myself. I was starting to take care of myself. But I started to realise that I've got this sorted, me. I'm not an alcoholic at all. All I have to do is run or cycle. And if I can run and cycle, I can have a pint. And I'd run 10k and have 6 pints. Run 8 miles, have 8 pints, half marathon, happy days, 13 pints of lager. And it's one of those things that just snowballed from there. And I started to convince myself that I was all right. And I'd have periods of not drinking. And then I'd have periods of drinking. and periods of not drinking and periods of drinking. And I was almost convincing myself, you know what, I can do this. That went all the way through to Belfast Marathon, 2007. I did the Belfast Marathon. Phenomenal achievement, you know, within less than, almost just about a year of running, I'd done my first marathon. And again, celebrated with a few pints of Guinness. Everything's all right, this is great. But quite quickly things started to, you know, fall to pieces, and I started to drink more and more and run less. I was running less and was drinking more. And around about June time, I managed to stop again and say, right, okay, I'm off it. And then went to the Challenge Cup final on the August bank holiday, and I did really well. It was my second sober. No, it was my first sober rugby league Challenge Cup weekend. And I said, right, the year before I'd had a couple, but didn't, you know, give the ball a good kick at all. It was just a steady drink. But this year I'd said, no, I'm not drinking at all. Didn't drink on the Friday. We start early on a Friday. I was drinking lattes all day. Didn't drink on the Saturday, no problem at all. Sunday we stopped off at Ashby de la Zouch, which was like club tradition. Stopped at Ashby de la Zouch. For some reason, I went to the bar and I ordered a pint of Guinness. And I sat at the bar and I went, right, this is going down. And I drank 8 pints in half an hour and a couple of whiskey chasers. I was absolutely blind drunk. Went back to the cricket club, had a few more beers, back to the British Oak, and got in about 2 or 3 in the morning, absolutely smashed. And woke up the next morning and said, right, that's it. That's my final drink. And it was almost like I woke up that morning going, I've had it now. I've done all I need to do. It's not pleasant anymore. It's not fun anymore. It's not doing what running does.
And is that the last time you...
That was the last time I had a drink. So that was August 27, 2007. And it was like, that's the day when something clicked in my head that said, running does something for you, Tom. Running saves you. It's constructive, not destructive. It's building you up as physically and mentally. Zoe's responding as well to it because she sees it as being a constructive thing. So it started to become, right, okay, this has to be the way forward for me. And from that moment forward, there was almost like a complete mind shift in how I thought about my addiction. It was literally, no, Tom, you cannot do this anymore. You know, the driving past the pub after work has to stop. You're going to have to drive a different way home. Instead of, I used to go out running at tea time. And instead of going out running at tea time, this is why I'm a late night runner. Instead of going out running at tea time, I thought, well, because you run at tea time, you do a half marathon, takes you, 2 hours. Andy Deaton, it'll probably take him about an hour and 40 now because he's fast as chuff now. But about 2 hours for me back then, just on a steady training run. So 5:30, that's 7:30, you're coming home, you're having your tea, you're having a shower, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, still 2 hours left from the pub. So the temptation's there. There's always time to go for a pint. So you sat there and
So were you a social drinker then, Tom? Or did you drink at home as well?
No, it was just in the pub. I had a bottle of whiskey at home. When I came home, there was always a bottle of whiskey lying about the house. And that came in towards the end of my drinking because I couldn't get enough from the pub because there was pub closing times there was still 11 o'clock on the dot, you know what I mean? It was no flexible drinking as there appears to be these days. It was literally 11 o'clock, you're done. And I'd have a bottle of whiskey at home and have a few shots of that and, a few tumblers of that. But for me, it was all about the crack in the pub. But so 9:30, I'm sat there at home looking at Zoe and thinking, I could be at the pub now. I'd just go and say a few of the lads and have a J2O. But that's tempting. That's too much temptation. And that's what I say to people, forget the non-alcoholic beers. Forget your social life at the pub. You almost have to divorce yourself from that relationship and say, no, I no longer socialise in pubs. Now, those lads that I grew up with won't like me for saying this, but I had to do that to say, do you know what, lads? I love yous. You're great guys, but I can't be around you. And it's nothing personal. It's me, not you. It's the old adage. Yeah. It's me, not you. I can't be around it anymore. I can't go and have a social J2O and sit in a bar talking nonsense, because eventually it's going to lead to me wanting a drink. And I had to just completely divorce myself from it and throw myself into the fitness side of things. And I got into the fitness industry around about 2007. I went and did my gym instructor's course. And I realised that the people in the gym industry were absolutely fantastic. They were just nice people. And I got the same sort of feeling about being around those people as I had being around the people when I was drunk. So I had a new connection to people, and almost like a new family. And I see that quite a lot in recovery. So you see lads and lasses who get into fitness, or they get into become a chef, and they have contact with people, or they get into the service industry, and there's contact. And I think that's what we lack. We lack that human connection, and the fitness industry gave me that human connection. And from those early days of going back and doing the gym instructor's course, I started to realise, do you know what? I've wasted so many years, literally just wasted so many years, been stood at a bar, making the breweries rich, not even the landlord rich. Because you weren't making the landlord rich, because the landlords didn't get rich anymore. No. It was the breweries that were making the money. And I spent so much money and so much time, and I wasted so much time with my two eldest boys, stood at a bar, talking nonsense, thinking I was the big I am. And really, I was just a waster. I was just a waste of human existence. And that, when you look back on it, 12 years later, it's quite sad that I wasted from 13 to 33 years of age, or 32 years of age. I wasted that time. And that to me is just absolutely tragic. That I know there's people out there who are in the same position as I'm in. And I don't want to call them wasters, because it's up to you how you spend your time. But guys, you get to a certain age and you look back and you go, do you know what? I have completely wasted 20 years of my life. And some people go, I've completely wasted 30 years of my life. I've completely wasted 40 years of my life. And I'm glad that I managed to get to a point where I said, right, enough's enough. And there's so many people out there who are doing the exact same thing, standing at a bar, talking nonsense, thinking of the big I am, and you're missing an entire world out there. Time for a break. Thought this was quite appropriate. Electronic, getting away with it. Speaks for itself. No more need to say.
To get wet on purpose, I've been forcing myself not to forget, just to feel worse. I've been getting away with it all my life, getting away. However I look, it's clear to see that I love you more than you love me. However it's clear to see I love you more than you love me. I hate that mirror, it makes me feel so worthless. tell you you shouldn't really know, and it's been true all my life. Yes, it's been true all my life. I've been talking to myself just to suggest that I'm selfish. I've been trying to impress that more is less and I'm repressed. I should do it instead. However I look, it's clear to see I love you more than you love me. However I look, it's clear to see I love you more than you love me. I love you more than you love me. I love you more than you love me.
Haven't had that for ages.
No.
Getting away with it all my life. I love you more than you love me, and that's alcohol. You know?
Yeah. We were just talking while the song was playing. I've been away for a few days. I'm reading Stephen Fry's book, and he's talking about he had an addiction to cocaine for 15 years, and one of the things he was talking about. I'll condense it because obviously we're into the last 10 minutes. Tom, where's it gone? And he was talking about how some of his friends are overindulging in alcohol and they become belligerent, become vile, not very nice people, but in the sober light of day, are lovely, fantastic people. And he actually puts on it, I found it really poignant what he said to his friends to help them. Maybe this is not for you. He said, this drinking, I think you're allergic to it. And I just thought, wow, what a powerful sentence to say. Because if you've got a nut allergy, you wouldn't have nuts.
Very true. Yeah.
So obviously, it doesn't go well with you.
I think there are people that just, you add alcohol, it's a bit like a gremlin. It just doesn't mix. And the allergy thing's a good way once you're through but I think it's also important to remember that the alcohol treats the symptoms. So it's been treating the symptoms of something for many years. So the symptoms often of trauma, often of things that have gone on in your past. So it's the environment that you've grown up in around alcohol, how you've used it. If you've used it just to be social, it's great. If you've used it as a blocker, which many alcoholics have done, it's a nightmare. Now I've just seen Alison Johnson talking about wasted 25 years, and this is the bit I want to finish on. Is that Alison? I mean, I've wasted 13 to 33, 20 years. You've said 25 years. The thing about it is, you can get that life back. We can erase the memories of the past by taking footsteps into the future, positive footsteps into the future, and I think that's really important to understand. And when people talk to me, what's the point of getting sober? So when I first started sobering up, what's the point of getting sober? Why would I want to get sober? My life's rubbish. It's just going to be rubbish sober. in actual fact that my life was rubbish because I was drinking. I started to add things into it. I started to achieve more. I started to do more. I started to believe more. Yes, I've still had my problems, with depression and things like that. And that's never going to go away. I'm going to have to build more resilience as I get older to try and combat that when I'm injured. So my depression comes along when I'm injured, and when I can't do the things I want to do. And sometimes I've got to control my mind a little bit more, where I get ahead of myself, and I'm just back training again after my knee surgery, and I'm already thinking about doing crazy ultra runs here, there, and everywhere. But to anyone out there, Alison especially, look, we can claim that life back. I'm 45 in September. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm only 45.
You're wearing well, son.
45 years of age. If I do my maths right, I still have the same again left. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've still got another 2 careers left. In working wise, I've got 2 more careers to do. 45 years, up to about 90. I'd like to do 90, 95, something like that. So I can really be belligerent, but sober belligerent. And I can annoy people. I can say things to people that I really want to say. And with 40 odd years left, we're only in our 40s. A lot of people who are listening tonight, in their 30s, in their 40s, if you're struggling with alcohol or drugs, if you can get it under control now, you can have an entire new life for 40 years. Or you can sit there and be drunk and take your drugs, and then in 10 years' time you can go, well, I've only got 30 years. But you've still got 30 years. Mm-hmm. So it's never too late to put a stop on it and say, do you know what, it's time to reclaim my life. It's time to get back from that horrible partner, alcohol or drugs, what was robbed from you. And your life has been stolen from you because of this thing called alcohol and drugs. Life gets stolen, but we can reclaim it, and that's what I think I've done. And I try not to be, I talk about my run across America, and I am quite candid about it now. I don't shout it from the rooftops like I used to, but in the 12 years I've been sober, I've run over 50 ultramarathons, maybe a couple of hundred marathons if you count America. Run across a continent, run the Sahara Desert, 10 marathons in 10 days 2 years ago. I've managed to hopefully raise 4 beautiful kids with Zoe. I've been in a steady relationship for 18 years now, after 7 years of addiction, 12 years. So I've started to reclaim my life. Mm-hmm. I've spoken to 50,000 students all up and down the country, educating them about the dangers of alcohol. I've made a difference to people, all because of that day, August 27, 2007. I made a commitment to me and my family and my friends that I was going to end the relationship with alcohol. And from that day forward, I was going to take myself through and make this world a better place. Now, I'm just one person. Mm-hmm. And if every alcoholic out there that did that, and we work on 10% of the population, so that's about 6 million alcoholics, how many other people are going to be affected by that? Their children, their wives, their husbands, their mothers, their brothers. If we can all just say, do you know what, I want my August 27. I want to have a day where I can say, do you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to reclaim my life. I'm going to start living again. And the world will be a better place, Rich. I think, if we can get to that point and we can say to people, time to reclaim what was yours, and I explain this to people. When the sun rises in the morning, I'm going to get a bit spiritual with you. It rises for everyone. It doesn't just rise for the rich and famous. It doesn't rise for the lucky. It rises for everyone. Mm. It rains on the righteous and the unrighteous. It does it for us all. So it's whether you want to wake up every day and look at the sunshine and go, do you know what? It's not for me, that. Or you wake up every morning and go, do you know what? It is for me. Mm. That sun did rise for me. It is my day to reclaim it. It is my day to say, do you know what? August 27, 2007 was Tom's day. My day is going to be 23rd of August. You know what I mean? 2019. Yeah. I'm going to reclaim it. If you're out there, do it, guys. Try and reclaim what is yours. Reclaim the life that you deserve. I don't like using the word deserve, but you should be having.
Yeah.
And really just fight for everything you've got. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about people who are still struggling. Guys, look, it's the old cliche, if I can do it,
Yeah.
you know, anyone can. Let's get it done. All right, wrapped it up.
Yeah, we're down to the last sort of nearly 3 minutes.
Right,
but
we're going to finish. I'm going to finish with a bit of Pink. I've never thought I'd play Pink on this, and I just thought that, you know, this
very poignant.
It's a pretty poignant song to finish on. I'm away next week. I'll be back the week after. Stay blessed, guys.
Yeah, thanks again for being so candid tonight, Tom. And don't forget, if you've missed this show or any other show, you can go to our website, smileradio.co, click on demand, or download the podcast from Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, and all the major podcasting sites. All I have to say is thanks again, Tom. Fantastic show tonight.
No problem, Rich.
I'm Rich, and this is TC.
See you soon. Bye.
I don't wanna be the girl that laughs the loudest, or the girl who never wants to be alone. I don't wanna be that call at 4 o'clock in the morning, 'cause I'm the only one you know in the world that won't be home. Sun is blinding. I stayed up again. That's not the way I want my story to end. I'm safe up high, nothing can touch me. Why do I feel this party's over? No pain inside, you're my protection. But how do I feel this good sober? I don't wanna be the girl that has to fill the silence. The quiet scares me 'cause it screams the truth. Please don't tell me that we had that conversation.